Hello all, welcome to the second PowerPoint presentation on batteries for the Battery Lab this week. On this presentation, we're going to talk about battery safety, maintenance, and testing. In regards to safety, we're going to talk about safety issues and how to work around batteries while maintaining or servicing them. In regards to maintenance, we're going to talk about electrolyte level, charging, making sure batteries are held down, that type of thing. Okay, and then in regards to testing, we're going to talk about an open circuit voltage test, the electrolyte state using either a hydrometer or refractometer to measure that, and we're going to talk about load testing. Safety is, of course, one of the most important things around a battery, so we're going to stress that for the next few slides, and then we're going to do the other two parts. And it is important to note that then we're going to do a video where I'm going to go out to my shop here, and we're going to walk through the testing of a battery and looking one over. Okay, let's talk about working around lead acid batteries safely. First thing to remember is that electrolyte, that liquid in the battery, is sulfuric acid in a solution with water, depending on what the charge is. So about that, precautionary measures. In regards to PPE, personal protective equipment, you should be wearing gloves, goggles, old clothes in case some spills on that. I've made that mistake before. Also, it's best if someone is around in case there's a spill and you need assistance. That isn't always possible depending where you're working, but it's a better idea. And one of the things that you really should have is water and a soap around so you can wash off if you spill on it. And it's a good idea to wash even if you haven't spilled on you after working on a battery. And it's ideal to have an eye wash station. Most shops have them. Make sure they're clean, make sure they're accessible. And if not, just make sure you have one heck of a good sink where you can get water into your eyes. The risks about working with batteries are acid on the skin. If you spill that electrolyte, you're putting sulfuric acid on your skin. It can burn, it can cause lots of issues. Make sure you wash immediately with that soap and water. Acid in the eyes. If you get acid in the eyes, you need to flood your eyes with water for 15 plus minutes and immediately get medical attention. One thing, if you have acid spilled on your shop floor or on things, remember that baking soda is a base, so it neutralizes the lead acid battery electrolyte. So let's have some of that around when you're working on a battery, and it's also good for corrosion. And your biggest enemy around working on batteries, especially as they're charging, are sparks and or smoking. If a spark goes off and a battery is gassing, you can be in a world of hurt. Okay, what will happen there is there's gassing, which means that hydrogen is being released, and that can, of course, can explode. Remember, you need to prevent anything that is a conductor from connecting between the positive and negative terminal directly, be that a tool, a piece of jewelry, or such. That can create sparks, a heck of a lot of heat as you're totally discharging the battery as quickly as you possibly can. Another thing you can have a problem with is if you're connecting batteries and multiple batteries to one piece of machinery, as the diagram listed before below. For example, a parallel circuit or a series circuit. If you have that all connected and for some reason you put a wire, a conduit between the positive and negative and create a direct short across those two batteries, or three batteries in this case, you can have an explosion. I'd like to talk a little bit about this happening to me in a lab in my first semester, last semester in Fuels Lab. I was working with students who were hooking up two batteries for a 24-volt system, so a parallel circuit, and they thought I was watching them and I thought they had it in control, but they ended up shorting between positive and negative and causing a battery top to explode, spraying sulfuric acid electrolyte all over ourselves and spilling acid all over the floor in the engines lab. Luckily, no one was hurt. We were all wearing safety glasses, so none got in our eyes. We immediately washed down really, really well. We went to the shower and washed down a little bit in the sinks, and then we cleaned up really well. We had baking soda and such, which neutralized the acid. We mopped it up, and Dr. Harden and Ms. Roberts are really, really helpful in solving that situation. So it does happen. Boy, was it loud, and I don't want that to happen to you guys. So make sure you are wearing proper clothing, safety glasses, gloves preferably, clothing, okay? Battery maintenance. Okay, looking at this picture, checking cables. What they mean there about checking cables is whether there's a good connection, whether the cables are loose, whether the cables are almost broken or frayed, things like that. The terminals. Make sure the terminals are solid, that there's not a lot of corrosion around them. Corrosion doesn't seem to happen as much these days, but you will see it. If you do, baking soda and water will neutralize that. Then, one that's often neglected, especially on lesser well cared for machinery, is the battery hold down. The battery hold down is very important, and you see sometimes that not connected very well. What that battery hold down does, especially in our industry, is it prevents that battery from rolling around, going through sudden shocks and the vibrations in the tough conditions that we put tractors and construction machinery and farm equipment through. So it's really of paramount importance to keep that battery tied down with some really solid material that will keep it connected to the frame. If the battery isn't held down, what happens is the plates can vibrate enough that they break off, and then you can have a totally useless battery. So you don't want to have that.